If you enjoyed how the Netflix series Dark was mind-melting and complex with its time travel and paradoxes, you'll want to hit up the limited series Bodies. It shares several concepts with the German masterpiece, but also infuses a crime mystery as well. So get out your spreadsheet, grab the Tylenol, because you might need it. When a body, the same body, is found on Longharvest Lane in London's East End in 1890, 1941, 2023, and 2053, one detective from each period must investigate. As connections are drawn across the decades, the detectives soon discover their investigations are linked, and an enigmatic political leader becomes increasingly central. To solve the mystery, the four detectives must somehow collaborate and uncover a conspiracy spanning over 150 years. This is a crazy brain-bending limited series. There are 8 episodes at each about an hour, so this binge, it's going to eat up a day. The concept, it is wild and unique, where an unidentified body shows up in the exact same location with the same wounds in an alley in London over the course of several decades. Now the thing is, the dude is the same guy in each time period. He's been shot in the eye and has this strange tattoo on his wrist. Other than that though, it's just a mysterious naked dude that's dead on the ground. In each year, we get to see different detectives work the case. Each are baffled by what's happening, but also the circumstances seem to be somewhat circular in their execution. Now, I'd referenced the brilliant show Dark right at the very beginning, and there are certainly similarities that these two series share. Not only the time travel portion that takes us into different decades with the same characters, but also through some of the scientific premises and ideas as they relate to what ripple effects are created when time is changed. Now, the ideas aren't as complex as Dark, but this story is also a lot shorter in comparison. As we're taken along the ride showcasing the investigations in each time, I really appreciate the visual aesthetics that are captured. Each time period has its own filming style. Now, for example, in the 1890s timeline, there's a lot of film grain. Much of the camera work looks to be handheld, but also stabilized so that there's no shaky cam. I mean, the coloring, it's more warm with these orangish hues to just create an older tone, which then is illuminated with minimal light when the sun is down, and that creates a large sense of intrigue. And then in contrast, the 2053 timeline uses colors that are more cool with like a bluish overlay. There's very little, if any, visible film grain, keeping with just a more digital look and feel. Now the creativity and the consistency I thought was wonderful, allowing for each arm of the story to have a unique look and feel, in addition to the obvious changes in both wardrobe and technology. Now, the set and costume designs, they are spectacular, transforming the places that we see into viable copies of each other, but then marked by time. I mean, the time in each location, it feels tangible, whether that's in 1890 or 2053. An alleyway, it's going to look identical, just augmented by the passing of time through paved streets or maybe graffitied walls. And when we're shown London in 2053, I got Fringe vibes, like when Olivia, Peter, and Walter go into that alternate world. Now in Bodies, there aren't blimps flying by with this semi-steampunk aesthetic, but the way this is filmed uses soft focus and bokeh to just create a dreamy, almost unreal aura. It's an idealistic view, especially because we watch the city get more gritty and dirty as the years go by, but that's actually a nuanced area of the story. Now, while it is only visual, this element reinforces plot points, even if it's not blatantly overt. Now, the mystery, it's a pretty decent one, obscuring much of the story so that it's not outright obvious right from the get-go. I think some of the answers are easy to guess, while some of the motivations, they might be more difficult. But this leads to a narrative that's engaging and complex, while not being so convoluted that you just can't follow along. Now, I do believe that the series, it is a bit too long. While the majority of the storytelling, it does jump to different times during each episode, once we get to that 7th episode, the narrative stops down to tell most of the story within the 1890 timeline. Now, this isn't bad because we get a lot of detail and explanation, but leading up to this point, it feels almost like portions are treading water and revisiting ideas that don't need to be repeated. Some areas of the story are included to reinforce relationships, but I think these are mostly unnecessary because the story already does a great job of establishing feelings, romances, emotional complications, and attractions, so returning to cover portions that are already well established just feels redundant. Now, thankfully, the acting works against that redundancy. There are many great performances that each work to capture their era with the mannerisms and the statures. And the 4 detective inspectors are played by Kyle Soller, Jacob Fortune Lloyd, Amaka Okafor, and Shira Haas in ascending chronological order. Now, they're each massively important to the story, with no particular character bringing the majority of that story progress. Even though they're separated by years, their actions have an overlapping quality to them, working more in conjunction with each other than separately or in parallel. Now, I also like that in each time period, some social commentary is created. Most of it's very obvious and not given subtly, which I think sometimes is a bit bothersome because the story it just doesn't make the audience work for meaning in these areas. Also, though, the writers are making clear what issues they want to address and how blatant they need to be to get that message across. Now, additional actors that help to build out the story in meaningful ways, even if they're not as prominent, they include Stephen Graham, Gabriel Howell, George Parker, Sinov Carlson, and Tom Mothersdale. There is a lot of emotion that's tied to their characters, helping to not only provide depth for their counterparts in the story, but also creating added weight and complications to the overall narrative. Now, outside of the repetition in some of the story arcs, the series itself moves along quickly with several instances of growing urgency. The plot, it has specific beat points that work to propel our characters forward within the narrative, increasing the intensity and the mystery while not sacrificing character development for the sake of expediency. So overall, Bodies presents a twisting and complex mystery filled with intrigue as well as social commentary. The story's unique premise allows for multiple clever complications that are carried out or solved by the talented cast. Convincing set designs accompany period-appropriate costumes to transport us to each specific period where a palpable setting is created. While there are story elements that are revisited unnecessarily or too often, the overall puzzle is captivating, exciting, and a bit mind-melting. And while the comparisons to Dark will be justifiably made, this has enough of a novel proposition to make it stand apart and on its own as a creatively executed murder mystery. There's sex, a bunch of nudity, a lot of profanity, and some violence. I give Bodies 4 out of 5 couches. So do you like time travel movies? Do you have a favorite one? Let me know what it is in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.